Senator Hirono, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll start with the following two initial questions that I ask of all nominees who appear before any of the committees on which I sit. Since you became a legal adult, have any of you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical harassment or assault of a sexual nature?
No.
No,
Can
Senator.
answer
No, Senator.
a must.
No.
Have any of you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement related to this kind of conduct?
No, Senator.
No, Senator.
No,
No.
Senator.
Ms. Jacobson, I appreciate your testimony and your commitment to confront climate change, which is very much tied to our national security. I do have a number of questions for Mr. Camarillo. Earlier this year, General McConville released a multi-domain transformation strategy outlining how the military or how the Army plans to transform itself to support the joint forces in the Indo-Pacific. While the Army's number one modernization priority is long-range precision fires, the Marine Corps is also investing heavily in this area. What steps do you plan to take, if confirmed, to ensure that the Army and Marine Corps efforts to support operations in the Indo-Pacific area are complementary and not redundant to avoid wasting taxpayer dollars?
Senator, let me first say that I agree with you that we need to look at it from a joint perspective and ensure that we have an effective deterrent capability in that region and that we're prepared as a joint force to be able to respond to conflict if it should arise. Certainly, if I'm confirmed, Senator, my role would be to continue to support Secretary of the Army and the General McConville in their efforts to pursue experimentation. And hopefully that experimentation would continue to work with the other services. You mentioned the multi-domain task forces, the three that the Army is currently looking at establishing to help address threats in that region and in other AORs. Certainly, I would work to make sure that those efforts reflect a joint consensus and work with Army leadership to address your concerns.
And I say that the Marine Corps in particular is making some pretty major changes to how it will be operating in this AOR. A focus of the multi-domain transformation strategy is leveraging the Army's unique ability to strengthen our alliances and our work with our allies in that area. And I assume that if you're confirmed, you will commit to maintaining those kinds of strengthening of alliances.
Yes, I would, Senator. I would note that even in the Indo-PACOM region, 23 of the 33 senior officers are Army land officers, and our ability to engage in security cooperation activities with those partners and allies is absolutely critical to our ability to project power in the region and to have a very strong deterrent presence.
I think it's also very important to be very aware of our commitments to our compact nation allies.
Yes, Senator.
For you once again, in 2019, the Army noted that 45% of its infrastructure in Hawaii was in failing condition. This was a much higher percentage than in other installations. And that's why Congress directed the Army to establish the Hawaii Infrastructure Readiness Initiative to address readiness and infrastructure challenges in Hawaii. I was disappointed to learn that the Army has recently decided to terminate HIRI by folding Hawaii infrastructure projects into its facilities investment plan. If confirmed, what steps would you take to ensure the Army addresses these pressing infrastructure challenges in Hawaii that was noted that we have major infrastructure issues?
Well, Senator, there's no question that installations are critical to our readiness and also critical to quality of life, retention of our soldiers, and certainly the well-being of Army families. I'm not familiar with the retention initiative, but certainly if I'm confirmed, Senator, I would love to work with you and this committee to ensure that partnering with the Secretary of the Army, that we address those challenges in Hawaii.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And one more thing, Mr. Camarillo. You have a commitment to addressing the issue of sexual harassment and the scourge of sexual assault in the military, and there is a plan to go forward. I have a concern that there's a pretty long implementation period for that plan, 5 years. I hope that you will address yourself to that plan and why it should take that long. And I'm hopeful that we can implement the recommendations made by Secretary Austin's group to implement the changes much sooner.
Senator, I certainly share the view that this is an urgent, pressing problem for the Army and for the department as a whole. And if I'm confirmed, I would certainly work with leaders in the department and with Secretary Wormuth to ensure that we make the changes that are appropriate as quickly as we possibly can to tackle this tough problem.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Hirono. Let me